If you can hear me, we're all good to go. Namaste, yogis. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga. I'm Ryan. And I've got a setup today with some wall space. So if you haven't already cleared a wall in your home for your yoga sanctuary, you don't need the whole wall. You just need a mat-sized spot. And hopefully somewhere where you're not going to fall into anything if you are not feeling extremely strong in your arm balances. But we will be building up to that. There'll be alternatives if that's not your thing. So don't worry. In this practice, I just advise you to always take care of yourself. You're in charge, and modify whenever you need. We are going to start out using a couple of blocks. A strap could be really helpful if you have one handy. And the strap we're going to do up, so it's about the width of the shoulders. So you put a loop in it where you could pull it apart and it doesn't get wider than the shoulders. So you can have that on the ready. I also have a blanket and a bolster nearby, just because I'm going to show you some ways to use them if you have them at home, hopefully. We'll get into that somewhere down the road here this morning. So we are going to start out using the blocks. We're going to use them for a supported fish pose. And depending on how close you've set yourself towards the wall, you might want to set yourself up faced away from the wall just so that you can have room to work the arms. You are going to want to be able to kind of like do a little angel wings to the side and up and overhead, and just make sure you got enough space all around you. And then we'll use the blocks to get some support under the body. So there are a couple different ways we're going to do this, and I like the block kind of around medium height, and it's going to go back behind. You can hang on to it, have another one somewhere within reach, and as you lie back, you want to get the block right in between the shoulder blades, and you want to rest your spine on it. The second block, options here to take it nice and high so that you feel like the back of the neck remains long, and we can get a little tuck of the chin, some softness in the front of the neck. And you just may want to take a couple of breaths with the knees bent. And allow your arms to maybe start out somewhere down by the hips, palms to the sky. And enjoy a few deep breaths. So another alternative would be to take this second block down as low as the first block under your spine. It's a personal preference. One's not better than the other. So do what feels best on your body. And as we breathe, we want to get the breath in from the tip of the nose, all the way down into the belly. And out again. And the next breath could be a little fuller and deeper. So you breathe to the belly and the sides of the waist. Try to let the ribs move sideways and feel the breath enter the back more than push your ribs out to the front. And then all the way to empty. Belly hugs the back, and there is a little pull of the bottom part of the sternum and rib cage at the front there towards the navel. It's creating a little length and support for the low back. So give it another inhale, belly sides of the waist, and see if you can breathe that breath up the back so you feel the back pressing into the block. And that breath moves all the way to the top chest. Letting the collarbone spread and widen, and then empty it out again. And then you can move your arms a little more sideways. If we think of just the area around us as a clock face, right now we're more like, 7 and 4, somewhere in there. 4:30, 6:30, 7, who knows. Lift up a little bit maybe as you extend the legs out. Get some length through the low back. You just want to feel that tailbone extend so there's no compression down low. And I like to push out through the heels, especially big toe and inner heel. Pull back a little through the little toe side of the foot. And squeeze the outer shins in enough to soften the inner thighs towards the earth. And then continue to breathe. Belly. And belly inside to the waist. And belly side to the waist, breath moving up the back, all the way to the top. Top of the chest spreading wide, collarbones moving out from the midline and away. And everything softening on the exhale, melting into the earth. And then maybe those arms extend out a little further, kind of straight side, around 3 and 9. And just keep that nice deep breath going, belly, sides to waist, top of chest. All the way to out. Belly hugs the back, and there's a little bit of pull from the bottom sternum to the navel, lengthening the low back and keeping it supported. And then we can reach up just a little bit further. Breathing in. Maybe around 10 and 2. Belly, sides, waist to top chest. Full, complete 3-part breath. And all the way out again. And another breath here. And let's move the arms up a little bit further. So now as the arms come up a little bit higher, it might be more challenging to get them to touch the earth. If that's true for you, feel free to turn the palms in and push the thumbs into the ground, or even lift your arms up off the ground and take more of a wide V shape. But do it feels all right. If you can let them relax here, let them relax. Now we're somewhere right around 11 and 1. So, a couple deep breaths. Notice how the breath changes. Notice what's happening to the shoulder blades on the back. Can you feel the bottom tips of the shoulder blades widening out? It's more like the tops of the shoulder blades are working to come together. So we will spin the pinkies towards the ceiling and the thumbs to the earth, and then we will reach all the way overhead, right? Option is to keep the fingers or the thumbs touching the ground, as long as you're able to keep a little bottom sternum to navel, right? So you might need the arms up higher than the ears to find that softening of the front ribs down and in. So find what is working for you this morning. Give it another breath or two wherever you are. Fully reaching out through the heels, through the big toe mounds of the feet, and extending all the way up, fingertips, with the shoulder blades down the back, really integrated in there onto the ribs and the belly to the back, keeping a little length through the tail out towards the heels. Give it one more big inhale. We'll take the arms straight up. And exhale here. You can let the shoulder heads drop a little towards the earth. And bend at the elbows. Take the hands down. Go ahead and use the forearms to press yourself up. We're just going to roll off for a moment because we're going to change the blocks. So all we're going to do is turn the block that we had on the spine sideways. And now we're going to take ourselves back down on it. But this time, it rests on the ribs just below your shoulder blades. So the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are going to rub up against your block. And then again, block number 2, if you had it up high, you might experiment down low. Let's see what is feeling like in there in this moment in time. And once you get everything set, once again, let's kind of rest the arms wide side. Let the arms and the shoulders float in between the blocks. So in this one, it's just the bottom tips of the blades rubbing up against the block. So all of that just gets to float. And as you breathe well, come back to out through the heels. A little more pressure maybe through the inner heel and big toe. Pulling little toes back and in, and maybe even hugging the outer shins in enough to feel the tops of the thighs, the insides of the legs soften towards the earth, and the back of the pelvis widen. Give it another breath. As you breathe, just incrementally, in and out, reaching the arms back up overhead. So we're going to get to that wide V shape, and as we do, go ahead and turn the palms in. Maybe come up onto the thumbs, right? Or even lift the arms up off the earth. And breathe. Bottom sternum to navel on the exhale, tailbone lengthening towards the heels. Let's get the arms all the way up overhead again. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then let's interlace the hands back behind the head. Just let them rest on that block. Take a nice big inhale as you fill yourself from belly, sides of the waist to the top of the chest. Reach from the bottom tips of the shoulder blades all the way out to the elbow tips. And exhale, find that bottom sternum to navel action, a little length through the tail, and then pulls you back towards the center. Give it another full breath in. And on the exhale, the belly is going to hug in so much that we can pull those front ribs down enough that we can lift the head, just lean it back into your hands, keep the elbows wide, bottom tips are reaching, or the shoulder blades reaching to the elbow tips, see your toes, and then inhale back. Full breath in and out. So really find that reach through the heel and tail. As you get the breath out, breathe in. Try and hold a little of the bottom sternum in as you open the chest wide. Drape yourself over the blocks and exhale. Coming up. Back of the neck stays long. Front of the neck stays soft. I want to see if you can make it feel like your head's resting in a little hand hammock. And riding the breath all the way to full. Feeling those collarbones widen away from the midline, all the way out to the elbows. And exhaling. Belly to the back. So let's stay with this for about 3 or 4 more breaths. Exhale up. Feeling in. Lengthening the spine through the crown, through the back of the neck. Opening up the heart as you inhale back. And exhaling, deepening into the belly. Lengthening out, tailbone to the heels. Bottom sternum into the navel. What do you got? 1 more, 2 more. Breathe in, breathe out. Let's give it one last round. Exhale up. Inhale back. Let the hands go wide side again. Just take a moment to rest. Where can you soften? And then we'll take the arms straight up. Roll those upper arms down and elbows in. Give yourself a little press up and roll off to the side again. This time we'll just turn it around and we'll bring the big toes together. You can take your blocks and set them out there for your hands. So let's set the hips all the way back on the heels, knees as wide as you like. And we'll bring the hands onto the blocks today. So we want to start to press down nice and strong through the hand, especially the inner hand. You might even turn your blocks out a little hair. We want to find some external rotation through the upper arm. So we're going to start to spin the bicep inner elbow to the sky and see how far we can widen the collarbones away from the sternum in the front. And as we press the hands into the blocks, we're going to drop the head, the neck, and the thoracic spine right in between the shoulder blades. So you can always slide those blocks into that just right place where you can press down through the inner hand. Roll all the way out to the outer arm so you feel the shoulder blades widening away from the spine. Collarbones spreading away from the sternum in the front. And you can feel as our arms come overhead, right, bottom tips of the shoulder blades widen out. They almost reach through to the sides of the waist. The tops of the shoulder blades come in towards one another a little bit, but try and draw those shoulder blades down as you keep them broad and wide. Let your head rest. Your neck rest, and see if you can find some softening from the back of the head and neck all the way back down in between those shoulder blades. You can even press your hands into the blocks to get the hips a little closer to the heels. Right? You can even pull a little on the blocks, see where you can make a little more connection of the shoulder blades into the upper back. And just play when you feel like you've found that space that hugs you in just right. Pause there and give it another breath or two. So even here, as we get the upper arms externally rotating, kind of floating back by the ears, we want to squeeze the bottoms, turn them into the navel on the exhales, and feel like the hands are moving all the way back, right, through the sides of the waist and actually growing out of your sacrum, all the way out of your tailbone maybe. It's coming out of the low back, all the way from the pelvis. And we'll give it a last breath. As you're ready, you can draw yourself forward and up, coming out on. Okay, we're back. That was awkward. So we're coming up on a hands and knees now. And I don't know where we left off exactly, so I'll bring you thighs vertical, right, wrists right onto the shoulders. And then we'll take the hands just a little bit forward today for a few rounds of cat's breath. So give yourself a nice softening in between the shoulder blades. And try and pull the crown straight towards the front wall as you feel the chest widen out and move through the upper arms. And then we'll exhale. Squeeze belly to back. Drop the head and tail to the earth. And just give it a few rounds, back and forth. All the way to full and all the way to empty. And just work to bring a little more attention into the upper back, widening out the heart, trying to feel that widening out through the front and lengthening out through the crown, and all the way into full flexion. Come back to that external rotation of the upper arms every time you take a breath in and out. Want to dial the upper arms open and keep them open as you exhale. And let's come back into center. Nice deep breath in. Open up the chest. Give yourself a neutral spine here. Exhale, belly to back, and make it a little bit more of a square shape now. We're going to do a little bit of kind of circular movement with the spine. You can inhale to the right and exhale up and around and down the left. And then start that inhale kind of as you sag the belly and take it to the right, up and around and down. So it kind of feels like your spine is a jump rope. Just a few of these to each side. So once you've completed about 3, moving rightward, then take it to the left. And just work to stabilize the hands and knees and shoulders and thighs as you really feel that spine move side, back, side, and front. Right? And give it that last round. And then come back to center. Open up the chest, shoulder blades well down the back. Curl the toes if they're not already there. We'll get the knees up off the ground an inch or two. And we want to find a nice low plank position, a little floating table. So continue to pull the shoulder blades well down the back. Widen them away from the spine. And bottom tips of the shoulder blades are moving into those back ribs. Heart pushing forward through the upper arms. And belly to the back. All the breath out as you lengthen tailbone to the back wall. And crown straight ahead. Give it another breath. And then let's see if we can give it a little bit more movement here. Open up the chest and exhale. Keep those knees up as you drop head and tail down. And keep the knees up as you open up the chest. And we'll just do this a few times. So it feels like you are in that little mini plank. Working that cat's breath. Nice big opening through the chest. And all the way to empty. So one more time. Let's open up the heart. And then we'll pull it back into downward facing dog. Go ahead and walk those feet way back. Or keep it a little shorter if you need in the beginning. I always go a little wider. And today, you might even enjoy lining up the outside edges of the feet with the outer edges of the mat. And taking a moment to squeeze those out. Lift really strong, I would say, through the heels for a moment. Bend the knees. Same as sitting bones high to the sky. Come back to the hands for a moment. So grounding the thumb and index. Come back to that external rotation of the upper arm. You might even squeeze your wrists slightly together as you move the upper arms as far away from each other as you can. And then keeping the arms strong and straight, you're going to feel like your upper arms are wrapping into the sides of the waist. And you're pressing from the hands all the way back to the hips, right all the way through the sides to the sacrum or the pelvis, reaching back. And then the legs take over. Tops of the thighs pull back. Calves and heels can start to ground down. Let's try and ground down powerfully through the big toe and the inner heel. And get a nice lift through the inner leg. Try and brighten that whole kinetic chain from the inner foot to the inner thigh, top of the pelvis there, inner pelvis, pelvic floor. And we're going to squeeze the outer shins in enough to feel it support that softening of the inner thighs back. Give it another breath. And let's walk the hands back to the feet. Take a moment. Soften in. Knees bend as deep as you need. Drop the head. And feel free to sway around a little bit. Bring the feet a little closer if that feels better. Just figure out a place where you can feel balanced. Shift a little more weight back into the heels, into the balls of the feet, inner foot and outer foot. Just see where you can get all four corners feeling evenly grounded. Take another moment to really relax the upper body. Just let your whole spine cascade over the legs, so belly should touch the thighs. Knees can be bent as much as they need to get the belly touching the thighs and the head fully relaxed. Let's take another breath or two here. And we'll start to walk the hands back out. So if you want to find a more classic dog pose, then bring your feet back in line with the hips and the knees, but keep the outside edges of the feet parallel with the outer mat, like you are a four-legged creature, making your way back out into the dog pose, keeping that rooted feeling through the heels if possible, and then widening out through the chest. Powerful legs, powerful arms, working your spine longer and creating space, especially in the low back. So really feel the tops of those thighs pulling back. So much it feels like you could pull your hips out of the low back with the power of your legs. Let's give it another breath. And as you're ready, let's lift the heels and roll out like a wave into plank. Find the top of a push-up here. Give it a nice deep breath in. And out. Squeeze your belly to your back. Lengthen the tailbone back to the heels. Can you hug the outer wrists towards each other, but widen the upper arms away from each other? And feel maybe even a little micro bend in the elbows. As you start to hug those elbows in, you can kind of squirt the heart forward and out like it's going out over those fingertips, and squeeze the belly to the back. It's the very tops of the thighs where they meet the pelvis, helping to lift you up. And tailbone lengthens back to those heels. So a nice strong plank. One more deep inhale. And then let's lower it all the way to the earth, nice and slow. Hug the belly to the back as you go down. And once you've landed, we'll set up for Cobra. So we're going to bring the hands kind of back there in line with the lower ribs, and take a moment to press through the feet. I like to get the little pinky toes in the ground to find that same softening of the inner thighs, now up to the sky. The outer thighs rolling to the earth. And for me, that always makes my ankles kind of go funny. So I squeeze the outer shins in as well to keep the legs as strong and straight as possible. And then give yourself a nice big inhale. Lift the shoulder heads up. Drop them down onto the back and exhale. Squeeze your belly to your back. Let's lengthen the tailbone back to those heels. Feel the front of the pelvis, the pubic bone, pressing into the earth. And then we'll draw the shoulder heads up. Shoulder blades go down the back. And the heart rises, cobra. And as you exhale down, drop your head and squeeze your belly up and in. So the forehead touches down, but the belly comes up. And then you can rise. Keeping the front of the pelvis rooted. Cobra. And down. Exhale. So one more time, as high as it feels good. Breathe it in and up. And take it out. All the way to empty. Let's curl the toes. Inhale fully. And then exhale to plank. Squeeze the belly to the back. Straight arms, straight legs. Breathe in plank and exhaling. Back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Give it another breath. Let's lift the heels high, soften the knees deep. Take a walk, a step, and a little float to the top of the mat. Lengthen out halfway when you get there. Fold a little deeper. And then let's come out halfway reaching with the hands on the hips. Squeeze your belly to your back here. Front ribs in. Let's feel those feet. Where's the weight? Can you get a little more back in the heels? Can you feel all four corners of the feet on the earth? The shoulder heads lifting up, pressing into the upper back. And bottom sternum to navel, giving that low back length and strength. And then let's push in, shoulders into the back to rise all the way to stand. And exhale, release. All right. So as you're ready, finding your Tadasana, inner thighs softening. We want to feel the pelvis like a wheel, right? Lifting through the front of the pelvis and lengthening through the back. And as that wheel spins, the ribs are doing a little bit of an opposite movement. We're lifting from the back, lower 12th rib, and then all the way up to the top of the rib cage there, around C7, T1, and then back down the front. So we go back down, bottom sternum to navel. And you can give yourself a moment just to feel into that. We'll take the arms wide side, right? Big inhale. And you can exhale here. Soften the front ribs in a little bit. And see if you can get more breath into the back. See if you can feel those arms lifting from there as you spin the pinkies in and find a little wide V. And then squeezing belly to back, just a little bit more through the front. Now, you might need your arms a little forward to the ears. That's fine. And your hands may never come all the way together. That's also fine. So anywhere along this continuum, we want to keep the arms strong and straight. And we want to continue to feel that breath lifting the back ribs up as we bring the arms a little further overhead. And then bottom sternum to navel, lengthening the lower back, tailbone to the heels. So lifting the pelvis and softening the low back, tailbone down, and lifting the back ribs and moving the front ribs down and in. Maybe get your arms right there in line with your shoulders, reaching up. Sometimes it helps to spin the pinkies in a little bit. And we'll exhale, sweep the hands behind the back. We're going to interlace them and fold in half. So all the way back out. Soften the knees. Let your belly rest on your thighs. And drop the head. Arms up and over as far as it feels good. Couple deep breaths. So a bend in the elbows can be a nice way to help lift the shoulder heads and snuggle them down the back. We just want to drop the head, tuck the chin. One last breath. Release the hands. Come out halfway, inhaling. And exhale, fold a little deeper. Good. Inhale. Let's take the arms wide side and reach all the way up back into Urdhva Hastasana. And then down the center line, all the way to empty. And come back in on a fresh breath. Arms reach. Exhale. Fold it out. Let's lengthen the heart forward, and hands can float wherever they need to keep your chest wide, your chin in, and back of the neck long. And then all the way out. Fold back into those thighs. We'll turn the palms up. And feel that whole movement of the upper arms towards the sky. Externally rotating. And then draw it down the center line. Tailbone to the earth, front ribs in. And spine gets longer. And we'll come back in on a fresh breath. Big inhale. Exhale. All the breath out. Let's lengthen the heart forward, inhaling, and move the right leg back. So we'll pause for a moment here. Let's find your high lunge, lengthening from the right heel out to the crown. Stand your fingertips or use your blocks. Try and sink that left hip down to a right angle. One more deep breath in, and on the exhale, plank. Breathe in. Knees are straight, legs lower all the way to the earth for cobra or chaturanga. Shoulders to elbow height, over the toes, and into the up dog. Nice big inhale, and then we'll take it back. Down dog on the exhale. Give it an inhale, and an exhale in dog pose. Let's take the right leg up in a back, breathing in. Really pull that left thigh back nice and strong to keep the hips level as possible. And bring the feet, right foot up in between the hands. Lengthen all the way back out. On your fingertips, stay for a couple breaths. See if you can get that right hip down there where the right knee is. And lengthen from the left heel to the crown. Big inhale. Let's set the back knee down, exhaling. And then stay for another in-breath. Kind of pull from that left knee all the way up to the crown. Open the heart wide. And we'll exhale, pull it back into the half splits. So right hip pulls straight back, left outer thigh hugs in. We can open up the chest and fold out nice and deep. So we do want to work the front of the leg here, pull the toes back from the quadricep. If you want to grab your right foot with your left hand, sometimes you can get a little bit more out of it. But work to extend the spine. So rather than rounding through the low back, can you feel the front body as long as the back body? And then try and feel that hinge in the hips and fold into that little millimeter you just created. Maybe go for another millimeter as you breathe in and out. Give it a last breath. Let's rock it forward on an in-breath, back to the low lunge. And we're going to take the arms up with, so you can spin the pinkies in. And exhale. Squeeze the belly to the back, front ribs in. Feel that wheel here. Again, as the right thigh pulls back, the pelvis is trying to lift up off the thigh bone. And then we get the back of the pelvis lengthening down, tailbone and sacrum earthward. And we're going to try and find more breath into the back, 12th rib area, all the way up to the top of the chest, and then down the front, softening in. So give it another breath. Lengthen up, and we'll exhale down. All the breath out, power up the back leg, breathing in. And step into the front leg, breathing out. Let's give it a nice big inhale. Halfway reaching, Ardha Uttanasana, fold back in, Uttanasana. Keep some weight in those heels as you rise up. Weight on the balls of the feet too, right? Nice and even if you can find it. And then down the center line. Coming back in, second side. Inhale to the exhale. As the heart goes forward, it's going to be the left leg that goes back. We'll pause on the fingertips here for a breath or two. One right thigh back and getting along through the left side. And exhale. Plank. Breathe in. Breathe out. Knees or straight legs chat. Your choice, cobra or the upward facing dog. And we meet back in downward dog for a breath. Nice big inhale. Empty it out. Let's take the left leg up, breathing in. And right up in between the hands, breathing out. Get long. Right heel all the way out through the crown. See if you can find that weight back in the left hip and heel. And then lengthen from the right heel out. Give it another breath. Bring the back knee down, exhaling. And then lengthen from right knee to crown. Collarbone spread. And belly to back. Back into the half splits. Feel free to put your hands on blocks. We're going to try and squeeze that right outer thigh in a little. Sink the left side down. I like to put some weight on the heel and pull back a little through that leg and keep a little softness in the back of the knee. Whatever you did on the first side, though. If you took your hand to the foot, go for it here. Continue to breathe. Try and get the front as long as the back. And the back. Hinging at the hips. Folding over the thighs. Come for another breath. And when you're ready, rock it forward, taking the arms up with. So really feel that length from the right knee all the way up through the fingertips. And we're going to sink in. Squeezing belly to back. The wheels of the pelvis start to lift. Tailbone lengthens down the back. And then direct your attention into your back ribs. Lift from there, lengthening up and down the front. And give it another breath. I always focus on whatever's a little harder. It'll change day to day. Ribs or hips. Give it another breath here. Hands down on the exhale. And then power up the back leg, breathing in. Step into the front leg, breathing out. Let's lengthen all the way out to halfway. Deepen in. And press down to rise. Right down the center, all the breath out. Let's take a classic Surya Namaskar A. Arms reaching. And folding in half. All the breath to empty. Reach the heart forward, step it back, float if you're good for that. Chat. Up dog or cobra. And we meet back in the downward facing dog. So, now that we're in down dog, we're going to walk everything back a little bit so that hopefully you're close enough to the wall. You can get a leg up there. So, take yourself back. Let's reach the right foot all the way up onto the wall. And you can walk back until you can literally push your whole right foot into the wall even. And pull the left thigh back. So try and feel things square through the pelvis as you can. Open up the chest. Ground those thumb and index fingers. Work to widen the upper arms powerfully away from each other and wrap them into the sides of the waist. And squeezing belly to back. Giving it a nice big inhale. You might try and get that left foot up off the earth and exhale here. Breathe deep. Or if you would like, extend the left leg out to meet the right and push into the wall so you're going to have a nice long diagonal like a handstand. Right. Widen the chest. Squeeze belly in and tailbone to the heels. And then when you're ready, set the left foot down. Woo. Drop the right foot down. And then left leg's going up. So not a long hold, but enough to make it interesting. Let's see if you can really press that heel to the wall, but it's mostly about your hands, isn't it? Open up the chest. Spread the collarbones wide from the sternum. And feel those upper arms wrapping into the sides of the waist as you get the right foot up any amount. You can pause and breathe here, or you can extend all the way out. And then we're working front and back together. Shoulders into the back, belly into the front, tailbone to the heels, and chest widening out. Give it another breath. And release when you're ready. So much fun, right? Fold in half for a couple of breaths. If you want to, you can always walk it back and lean your butt against the wall. It can be a nice way to take a forward bend. And then, however you'd like to get there, you can come out halfway. You can roll up one vertebra at a time. You can use the wall to lengthen up. And we're going to take a handstand. So if you're not handstanding, tree pose. If you are handstanding, maybe a tree pose in your handstand. So it's up to you. Right? If you're not familiar with tree, it can be here, it can be here. You got two legs, you got two sides. So you'll get busy with that. And anyone else that's interested can move to the wall and take a moment here to once again dial open the chest. And we're just going to kick it up for a few breaths. So you want to bring yourself to the wall. I'm actually going to come back down because I feel like when I get my fingers to the wall, I can get a little more out of it. So maybe fingertips to the wall, but make enough room for your butt. Some people claim that they need to be further because their booty needs space. Give that booty some space. So here we're going to try and see if we can get the lower 12th rib to the wall and the shoulder blades off the wall. Oh, that's hard, right? And then try and soften the inner thighs towards the wall and lengthen the tailbone up to the heels. Really work those arms. So external rotation through the upper arm. Spin the thumbs towards the pinky. Spin the biceps out and wrap those arms towards the sides of the waist. And then try and press the shoulder blades deep into the back and bring that lower 12th rib towards the wall. See if we can lengthen up. And as you breathe here, you might actually bounce off the wall here. So give it a last breath. Come down when you're ready. And take a moment to fold. You could also step forward and drop the head and lean into the wall. It's a very nice Uttanasana. So, last breath wherever you are. And then making your way up. Lengthening out and rising to stand. Alrighty, so from there, we'll move back to the top of the mat. Feet together or a little separate as we prepare for Utkatasana. So nice big widening inhale, top of the chest full. Squeeze the belly to the back, hold the breath out. And we'll sit down. Weight into those heels and back into the hips, inhale. And exhale. Can you feel like you're trying to kick the mat away with both heels? And that'll help to bring those thigh bones back. And we want to soften the tops of the inner thighs down. Let the back of the pelvis widen out. And just see where you can get a little more reach. Upper arms by the ears and still bottom sternum to navel. So another breath or two here. Lengthening up and squeezing in through the belly. Nice deep breath in. And then exhale, fold in half, all the breath out. Let's come out halfway, breathing in. A little deeper on the exhale. Back up to chair, inhaling, sink those hips. Reach through the arms. And exhale, rise to stand, all the breath out. Let's drop right back in on a fresh breath. Touch the earth, chair pose. Inhale. Exhale, fold over the thighs. Straighten the legs as much as they go. Lengthen out halfway. Deepen in all the way. And rise back up to your chair. Exhale. Stand tall. And one last time. Inhale, touch the earth. Exhale. Fold over the thighs. Weight in the heels. Chin and crown down. Lengthen your heart forward. Hands stay on the earth. Step or float back. Chat. Up dog or cobra. And we'll meet back in the downward facing dog. Taking the right leg up and back right away. You might need to move a little forward off the wall. Didn't think of that, did I? And step the right foot up in between the hands. Setting up for Virabhadrasana 1. Try and bend the right knee to a right angle again. Right thigh pulls back. Left inner arch brightens. Squeeze that left outer leg in. Work for that opening through the back of the pelvis. Let's inhale the hands back by the hips. Really find those shoulder blades deep into the back. Exhale. Squeeze the front rib in. And arms out by the ears. And then as you're ready, drop the tail, lift through the arms. Keep pulling the right thigh back. Squeezing left outer leg in. We're looking to lift up through the front of the pelvis. Lengthen that tailbone to the earth. And then draw more breath in. Back ribs up to the sky. And front ribs down in towards the navel. One last big inhale. And to the earth on the exhale. Chaturanga through your vinyasa. Take your time. Rise up. And release it back. Left leg going up. Right up in between the hands now. Setting up for Virabhadrasana 1. Most of us need a little bit wider than heel to heel. Left hip pulls back. Right inner arch brightens. Right outer thigh squeezes in. Inhale. Hands back by the hips. Shoulders into the back. Exhale. Belly to the back. Arms out by the ears. Arms are growing all the way out of your low back, sacrum. And as you inhale, feel the tail drop. The arms lift. Left leg's pulling back. Right leg's leading that right hip up and forward. And we're trying to lift the front of the pelvis. Lengthen. Tailbone and sacrum earthward. Give it another couple breaths. Breathing in from the back kidney area, right up the back body. And then down the front. Give it another breath. Focus where you need. Hips or ribs. Both if you can. Feel it. And let it go. Chaturanga through your vinyasa. Up dog or cobra. And we'll land back in down dog. We'll take a couple breaths here. And every time you return to dog pose, I want to come back to Feeling both hands and both feet. Feeling the length of the spine. And you can always play. Press the left foot, left hand stronger. Press the right foot, right hand stronger. Press right into both evenly. And when you're ready, let's start a fresh cycle. Right leg reaching up and back. We're going to move right up into Virabhadrasana 1. Step it up, root it down, and rise. Let's exhale down the center now for Virabhadrasana 2. So we're going to open the inner thighs a bit. I like to go heel to heel here and work to drop that right hip to a right angle. The right outer hip is going down and under towards the left. Left inner thigh pulling straight back to the wall behind, making space. That left outer hip is actually moving a little inward, so your toes and your hip are kind of moving at an angle there. Give it a last couple breaths. You can squeeze right outer thigh in. Work to really externally rotate that left femur. Lift through the crown and heart. Lengthen through the back. So feel that lift coming out of the kidneys even here. Then as you're ready, we'll start to reach it forward through the right arm. Keep yourself in the second warrior. Forearm to thigh is a great place to begin. Left arm to the sky. A block, if you'd like, to the outer right foot. Or just take your right arm down your inner right leg. Continue to work the feet, work the legs. Lengthen and open up the chest. And as you breathe, see if you can get a little wider. Open through the chest. Belly and heart rolling towards the sky. You can spin your left palm towards the front and reach the left arm overhead as you're ready. Give yourself length all the way from that left heel, all the way out through the left fingers. And we keep deepening into the right side. And rolling right outer thigh under. Give it a last breath. Let's inhale back, warrior 2. Exhale. Sink it in and inhale, reverse. Can you keep that right shoulder blade down the back? Upper traps off as you exhale, lean back. Let's inhale to the earth. And exhale, chaturanga. 3 vinyasa. Up dog or cobra. And we'll enjoy that on the second side right away. Left leg reaching. Stepping. Root down, rise up. Virabhadrasana 1. Hip wheel and rib wheel working. Coming down. Through the center, hop the feet. Use your hands to your hips if you need to feel them in the right spot. See if you can bring that left thigh all the way down to a right angle. Keep pulling back a little through the left outer knee, outer leg. Weight into the left hip and heel. And that left hip, sitting bone really is dropping down, moving under towards the right. The right leg is in neutral. Hip and toes kind of moving in a little bit. Back inner thigh soft, but the whole back leg reaches for the wall. And you drop in. Feeling that nice deep stretch through the inner legs. When you're ready to reach, let's lengthen the left side body. Forearm to thigh is a great place to begin. Right arm to the sky. Front and the back working together. Opening up. A couple deep breaths. When you feel like you've got your legs on nice and strong and set, spin the right palm. Continue that reach all the way from the right heel overhead. Lengthening out the right side body as long as it'll get. So you might need to soften the right side a little bit to lengthen the left side a little more. Give it another breath. When you're ready, let's inhale it up. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, reach. And exhale, keep going, but see if you can keep the shoulders integrated into the back. Front and back, working together, especially in those ribs. Inhaling. And exhaling. Chaturanga. 3 vinyasa. And we'll meet back in dog pose. A couple deep breaths. All right, another round. Right leg reaching. and stepping. We'll start with Vera 1. Inhale to the top. Open it up to Virabhadrasana 2. Take a little hop. Set yourself in, a deep breath in, and out in your second warrior. Little inhale, straighten the right leg, and exhale here. Front and back. Both sides of the pelvis lifting, right? We're going to find some lateral flexion in the pelvis. Continue to externally rotate the right thigh while you ground the right big toe. And get yourself moving to the outer leg if it's available. You might like a block as we're going to transition into the half moon from here. So continue that external rotation through the right thigh. Left leg pulling back. Belly and heart reaching for the ceiling. Feel free to drop the left hand behind the back and press left shoulder blade into the back as you inhale, look up. And then keep the chest that wide as you look down. Squeeze your belly in. Let's bend the right knee and go beyond the little toe side of the right foot and slide those left toes in. So as you transition, feel free to take a block out there right under your shoulder. So you're going to keep pulling. Right leg straight back, externally rotating it, lifting the left inner thigh up to the sky. Feel free to point those left toes down a little bit so you can soften the left inner leg. Feel a little more length through the tail as gluteus maximus turns off. So you can always do this without the block. Try and find that axial extension. Right out through the crown, right out through the tail, shoulders into the back, front ribs in. Can you feel the wheels here? Can you feel the front of the pelvis lifting, back of the pelvis lengthening? Back ribs lifting, front ribs hugging in. Bend the right knee deeply as you're ready. Slowly, steadily work to bring it back into the Trikonasana. Inhale. Exhale. And then inhale, second warrior. Exhale. Root into those feet. And inhale, rise. Through the right arm. And exhale, reverse. Inhale to the earth. Chaturanga. Flowing on the breath. Meet back in downward facing dog or skip vinyasas whenever you need. Left leg takes its turn up and back. Right up in between the hands. Root it down. Vera 1. Big inhale to the top. Exhale. Second warrior. Breathe in. And breathe out. Then as you're ready, straighten the front leg. And you can take an extra breath here. Feeling front and back, right and left. Up and down, all in their place. And lengthen out through the left side bod. Continue the external rotation of the left femur where it meets the pelvis. Pulling right thigh back. Rolling belly and heart open towards the sky. And then, if you want the right hand behind the back, it's a fine option. Press the right shoulder in, look up. Squeeze your belly to your back, look down. And start to reach out beyond the left little toe. Try and keep everything open to the side. As the right leg reaches, it's the inside of the leg doing the lifting. Can you point the toes down enough that you can get gluteus maximus to turn off? Maybe a little more length through the tail, out through the crown. As you breathe. Another breath or two. Lengthening front and back. Finding those wheels if you can feel it here. Front of the pelvis lifting. Tailbone lengthening back. Back body filling with breath all the way to the top of the chest and then squeezing in, front to back. Step it back when you're ready. Trikonasana. Just for a breath. Warrior 2. In. And out. Reversing. Breathing in. Breathing out. Inhale to the earth. Exhale, chaturanga. Enjoy your vinyasa. Up, dog or cobra. Back to down dog. All right, how about a child's pose? Let's drop to the knees. Sink the hips to the heels. Just take a brief moment here, wherever you would like to rest your hands, maybe right under the forehead. Or it might feel good to give those shoulders a rest. Rest them back on your knees, or you can always put blocks a little further forward if your shoulders are coming further forward. All right. So now you can use your block, your strap, or a combo of both. So once we've got our block, right, the block's going to go in between the forearms. And we can squeeze the block with the outer arms, right? We want to move the upper arms out and away. Well, let's take it down. Actually, let's bring the block, maybe down a little closer to the wrist, because that's easier to feel hugging in. We want to feel the chest widening out. So they're two opposites that kind of come together. So if you feel like you're hugging in so much that you're really collapsing in the chest, then maybe it'd be better to use your strap. Where is it? Because the strap, you can just press out, and nothing's going to go nowhere, right? So you want to feel those upper back widening, right? So choose what's easier for you. We're going to try and straighten the arms and bring them to the earth, but we're going to do this from downward facing dog. So from your dog pose, you've got the block in between your forearms, or you're pushing the strap out away with your upper arms, right? You can hug the wrists in a little bit towards each other. Inhale, lengthen, and we're going to exhale, bend the elbows. Try and touch them to the earth. Inhale, straighten, and exhale, bend. You don't have to get all the way down. You can hover, or you can just bend maybe an inch. Inhale, straighten, exhale. There it is. It's a little bit opening up. And let's do two more. In and out. In and out. Forearms down. You're in dolphin pose. Enjoy a breath. Open the chest. Press those shoulders into the back. Keep opening upper arms away from each other, wrapping them into the sides, and all the way up to the hips. And let's drop back down. Onto the knees. Take a breath. All right. And then you can move your props off to the side. You can move back into a downward facing dog. And let's just give it a plank position here, breathing in. And breathing out. Nice big inhale. Open heart. Pull it back through the hips. Back to the down dog. Let's reach the right leg all the way up and back. And step the foot up in between the hands. We're going to go for crescent pose. So we want that right hip and right knee at a right angle. Bend the left knee as much as you need so that you can inhale up. And try and keep those arms up. Right thigh pulling back a little bit, left outer thigh squeezing in so you're level front to back. And then we're working the wheels. Try and lift front of the pelvis off the right thigh. So if you need to, feel down there. Feel where the front of the pelvis is. All right, and then give it a little lift. Try and feel the lower back. Tailbone lengthening down. If it's not happening, bend that left knee more. Right. And once you get your hip wheel on, we want to find a little rib wheel. Lifting through the back, drawing down through the front. So can you keep those two wheels spinning? Start to straighten the back leg any amount. We do want to feel the front of the pelvis continuing to lift. It's going to be a really deep stretch into the front of the left thigh, top of the hip. So keep powering the left inner thigh to the sky, maybe squeezing left outer thigh to the middle, sinking right hip down and pulling it back. Then front of the pelvis up, back of the pelvis down, back ribs up, front ribs in. One more deep breath. Full in and exhale. Downward facing dog. Left side up and back. Right up in between the hands. And then once again, setting up, bending the right knee as much as you need. Left hip and knee in a line, kind of parallel to the earth. Coming up. Exhale. Front ribs in, pelvis up. And then try and keep finding it. Weight on the left hip and heel. Pulling back. Right outer thigh squeezing in enough that the inseam is reaching for the sky. We want to feel the very front of the right hip getting that nice deep stretch as we try to lift. Pelvis up off the thigh bones. And the pelvis is coming up off that left thigh, tailbone rooting to the earth. And then can you get the breath moving up the back, out of that 12th rib area to the top chest, and down the front. Start to strain that back leg any amount. Power it up. And release. Take a vinyasa or pull back into dog pose, you choose. All right. So, from downward facing dog, you can take a moment to walk the hands back towards the feet. Fold in half. And then let's slide the mat all the way back up against the wall if it's not still there. And here's where, if you have tender knees or shins, right blanket can go down on the mat to protect your knees. And you can even use a bolster against the wall for your shin, because we're going to do a little thing here where we get the left knee and the left shin up the wall. Bring the right foot forward. We're just going to drop into those hips. So if you got the padding, feel free to use it. Or you just bring the knee to that little crease there, shin up the wall. You can use your blocks. Try and get the right knee on top of the ankle. Or you can let your pelvis drop a little bit. We do want to pull the right thigh back towards the wall. And squeeze the left outer thigh in enough that we feel opening through the back of the pelvis. And then coming out through the chest. A couple deep breaths here. If you've got a little bit more in there, you can bring your hands onto your thigh. Squeeze your belly to your back. And work to lift yourself up. And then where are those wheels? Can we get the front ribs in and down? Can we get more breath? Moving up out of the back ribs. And can we descend the tailbone? The front ribs again. Really work to lift front of the pelvis up off the thighs without straining the front leg much. So let it be a nice generous stretch for the top of the left thigh. And you can just continue to walk back a little bit with the hands if that works for you. Squeeze front ribs in. Breathe up the back to the top chest. And sink down through the tail as you lift through the front of the pelvis. Let's release this side. And slide the right knee back so you can bring the left knee out. And it's easy to get into from that table. You bring the right knee to the wall, and then you step the left foot if you're up on your fingertips or blocks. Should be accessible. So see what you can find here for a few breaths. We want to sink in a little bit at first. This might be sufficient. You might be just like, whoa, dang, right here. It's all good. Maybe up on those blocks, continuing to widen the chest. Feel the wheels. They're going to spin here too. Lift through the front of the pelvis. Lengthen that tailbone back to that right inner knee. Lift out of the back ribs. Soften the front ribs in. When you got the wheels here, you just work to wheel it up higher. Make it harder. Front ribs in. Right. Front of the pelvis lifting up off the thighs. Shoulder blades moving into the back. We're trying to really feel where the thigh and the pelvis come together there on that left side. Lift up off the thigh bone. Then can you get breath moving up the back? Rib area all the way to the top of the chest. And down the front. So enjoy another couple breaths. And when you're ready, come on out. So slide left leg back, knee down, and bring the right side to meet it. Feel free to take a downward dog or a child's pose if you prefer it. If you need a vinyasa, you might take a vinyasa if you want to bring your heels up on the wall. And just move into plank position. That can feel pretty darn good. Trying to keep the heels at the wall, top thighs lifted. Again, you open your heart. Reach, reach, reach. And then back. Downward facing dog. All right. Walk your hands back. And come out halfway. Right. Coming all the way to stand. All right. So, Let's move it back to the top of the mat. Let's take a little walk here. There's one more thing I want to do before we get in a little deeper. So let's go up through the arms and fold in half. Lengthen out halfway and step it back. Plank, lower all the way to the earth. We're going to come into the Sphinx. So let's bring the forearms to the earth, find a nice lift through the chest. Couple deep breaths here. So see what you can do to get the shoulders down the back. Just uplifted, and just another breath. We want to feel like the lower back is kind of moving back into the body a little bit. Tailbone earthward. And then we are going to grab our block and put it out in between the hands. And forehead to the earth. So we start here. See if you can give that block a good squeeze with the pinky finger side of the hand. And try and feel those shoulder blades deep down the back. Snuggle them back there wherever you need. And then squeezing belly into the back, lengthen tailbone to heels. Feel the bottom sternum move towards the navel a little bit and see if you can lift that block up. Upper arms by the ears. A few breaths. Arms come a little higher if they can, but they're pulling down the back, integrated onto the back, and arms as straight as you can manage. Can you keep the front of the pelvis grounded? Pinky toes in the earth. Big inhale, exhale, set it down. Waggle it out. So we're going to do the same thing again. Add on something for a little extra flavor. So if that little bit of extra flavor is too much, you just come back to what we did the previous time. So let's give it a nice breath in, all the way out. And then arms, upper arms are trying to move back behind the ears, so your shoulder blades are pressing into your back. Arms are straight and strong. They're externally rotating upper arm and wrapping the shoulders into the sides. We're going to bend at the elbows. Squeeze those elbows in a little bit. Try and push. Fingers straight up. Squeeze front to back. Notice if you're gripping your butt, try not to do that. But lengthen tailbone to heels. Try to lift those elbows high. Squeeze the belly in. Lengthen the tail down. One more breath. And straighten the arms, inhaling. Set it down, exhaling. Whew. Give it a waggle. Enjoy. A last soft breath here, and then we're going to do one more round. It's going to make it even more interesting. So we're going to come nice and strong, belly to back, tailbone back to the heels, and then inhale those arms up. So the front, the pelvis stays anchored. Exhale. When you're ready, bend at those elbows. Continue to reach the elbows to the sky. Pinky toenails into the ground. And then lift those thighs through the inner thigh, up to the sky. If you want to lift your head up a little bit, you can. Try and lift legs and elbows. And breathe. Your whole back on. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale. Set it all down. Waggle it about. And then let's back it up. All right, we took one chin up at a time. Now let's do two shins. Two shins up the wall. And back into that Sphinx. So nice. Squeeze the belly to the back. Soften. Inner thighs to the sky. Back of the pelvis wide. Tailbone reaching back in between those inner thighs towards the earth. What can you get going on here? Can you get a little more lift through the chest? Upper arms back, shoulder blades down and in. And then we'll lower. Sliding the hands back by the lower 12th rib. So make sure your shins are firmly to the wall. We're going to take a little Vinyasa action here. You're not going to get quite high, but you are going to use the hands to help traction the heart forward and up, pressing shins and feet into the wall. And exhale. Squeeze your belly to your back, tailbone to the earth. See if you can reach those hands back. Maybe interlace. Let's work to open the chest, chin in, back of the neck long. As you breathe, you might slide your shins a little further up the wall. And then your heart might come a little higher. Feet might get a little higher, and belly to the back. Chest might get a little higher, but inner thighs to the sky. Tailbone back. and down to the earth. When you've got it, let it go. Take a moment to relax. And then we will get out of here, shall we? All right. So press it back into a brief child's pose, or just sit on your heels for a moment. You might want to just sit on your heels, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, so we're going to do a couple of different things here at the wall that involve chest opening and thigh opening. So first one is getting hands to the wall. You've got your props, so you can use same deal, straps around to keep things from going too wide if your elbows tend to fly out, or blocks to keep the arms contained. Sometimes it feels good to do the karate chop style instead of hands flat. So you can decide what's a little best for your body. And if you feel like skipping this stuff, you can come back to the work we were doing on our belly with the block, because that's so much fun. But if you're feeling warm enough now, we are going to rise up into our dolphin. And from here, you just can continue to breathe in dolphin, maybe enjoy some leg lifts. If you're good for it, kick yourself up, bend your knees, put your feet flat on the ground, or flat on the wall rather, and lengthen your tailbone up to your knees. Move those upper arms back by your ears, and work to squeeze the front ribs in, and lengthen the tailbone up. So try and find your spine, lengthen it out, and give it a couple breaths. So you can stay right here. You could move into Pinchamayurasana variations, straightening legs, or today I'm going to invite you to bend at the knees and take the tops of the feet to the wall. I know. And then from there, you got to soften the inner thighs to the wall, tailbone up, find your pelvic wheel, lift the pelvis up, find your rib wheel, front ribs in, back full, and then maybe breathe here, working to try and draw all those shoulders down the back and reach the heart towards the wall. So back in, head down, and then inhale, shoulders down the back. Reach, 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 chest, towards the block, towards the wall. Exhale, squeeze the belly to the back. And one more time. Lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Opening that chest, soften the spine in between the blades. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Come on down. Ooh. So when you come, see if I can get back up there. If you can, we're going to come down in stages. Right back through here, getting longer again, and then back down mindfully. If you fell out like me, no worries. Happens all the time, doesn't it? Take a rest. Give it a couple breaths. It's a lot of work. All right. So you're more than welcome to play right here for another round, and then we'll move it on to the back. If that was enough for you, you can head right into bridge pose or Urdhva Dhanurasana at the wall. There are other scorpion variations you could play with. Right, if you want to take it a little further from the wall, you can maybe get a little more out of it there. So it's nice to find that alignment. Strong belly, long low back. And then maybe taking the feet to the wall. You got to keep the hip wheel on, the rib wheel on, and then start to reach the heart forward to the thumbs. Breathing. Breathing, get a little further. Keep moving those wheels. And maybe try and release your feet closer towards your head. But we want to come back up. Lengthen up. Right. Feet on the wall, tailbone up. And rest. Yes. Is that about enough of that? Probably. So let's finish up with one last more symmetrical back bend. You can always support it if you need to. Or I'm going to invite you into a nice big Urdhva Dhanurasana, because once again, it's going to get our arms up over our head. And that's been kind of a theme today, hasn't it? So here, If you bring your hands to the wall, you can come up there. But sometimes it's easier with blocks on an angle if you want to try that. So that can be a nice way to get yourself into some new spaces in those shoulders. But decide what feels best for you. Right hands will come onto the blocks. Your head's going to go in between them. And then when you're ready, you get all the breath out, tailbone up. And we start to reach up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. Really work to straighten those arms. Can you widen the upper arms away? Can you dial the triceps up and the biceps down now? Opening up the chest. And feel those legs. Outer legs hugging in. Big toe and inner heel into the ground. Ball the foot really. And then after 3 to 5 breaths, come on down. Take a rest. All right. So enjoy another breath here. Let's draw the knees in. Just give yourself a gentle twist. You can take arms wide. I like to shift the hips a little to the opposite side where I'm twisting. Pick a side. And then take it to the other side. All right, back through the center. And you can hug knees into chest. You can roll off to the side or rock yourself up to sit. And just take a moment to stretch the legs out. Dandasana. Nice and tall here. And you can spin it around as well if you'd like. And try Dandasana at the wall. So if you've got your Danda at the wall, your hands go right down by your hips and you're able to shoulder heads back, front ribs down and in, and you can really feel that lift all the way out of the back, right? Grounding the hips down and just coming back to a nice big open chest. So from here you can bring the hands a little further back, soften the elbows, and now continue to open the chest. I have to slide in just an inch. We're going to take the feet up the wall for Navasana. So breathe here. Front ribs in. Chest wide. Chin in, back of the neck long. Can you get your arms up? Can you soften those inner thighs? And breathe. Right, so when you're ready, hands down. You can cross the shins if you'd like. Just take a seat. Breathe in. Breathe out. Right. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3 breaths. Lean back into those shoulder blades if you can. Use the front body to back body, lengthen low back. And last breath, cross the opposite shin. Sit up. And last round. Take your time. Use the hands. Or don't. And when you're ready, release. Let's come back, sit tall, take a moment. We are going to move into a couple of forward bends. So you can stay towards the wall or turn around like I have. It's really up to you. Just changing angles so you can get a better view of what I'm up to. We're going to take the right leg over top the left. Sit up nice and tall here. Just give yourself a little spin around. It's a fine place to use a blanket. Open up and release back. Actually, I think a better variation today would actually to keep the right leg on the inside. Let's do that one. Let's do Marichyasana C. Sorry if you love Ardha Matsyendrasana, but it's almost the same thing. This one just keeps our hips a little more side by side instead of crossing the body. So we're going to wrap ourselves around. If you want to bring the right hand to the wall, it's a nice way to work those shoulders, isn't it? get that length up through the spine, shoulder blades down the back. If you want to lift that left arm up and hook it around the right leg. Your leg is going to press back into your arm as your arm hugs into your leg, and see if you can get that right side waist a little more lifted and longer, and shoulder blade a little deeper down the back. Maybe start to twist yourself around. Another breath. Big inhale. Taller, and all the breath empty. Let's inhale. Back over the left shoulder. And then exhale. Unwind. And we'll do the second side. All right. So about a hand's width between the foot and the thigh. Right leg stays awake. You can move your right arm around the left leg and hug it. And the left hand to the wall. So you can give yourself that push. You can always feel if you need a little inch more to scooch in or back. Where can you get a real good connection that helps you get taller and longer and more spacious. Gives you a little more connection to all your parts. Lengthening up through the crown, deepening in through the belly. We work that external rotation around to the left. Get a little taller, breathe a little deeper, stay as you are, or right hand up and right arm over the left leg, shoulders down the back, and belly into the front as you twist around a little further. Can you give it one last breath? Maybe look over that left shoulder. And unwind, inhaling, and exhaling through the spine. Both legs out. Let's take Janu Shirshasana next. Right foot high to the left inner thigh. So we want to soften that left inner thigh towards the earth a bit. The right leg is externally rotating, but that sitting bone, that's going to feel like it's scooping under a little bit. We want to feel like we're lengthening from the right inner thigh out to the right inner knee. Let's get some length here, whatever you can hold on to. Breathing in and breathing out. You can take a nice deep forward bend. If you can keep your back flat, or you just keep it nice and tall. Give it a couple breaths. We don't have to work too hard or try too hard in this one. We do want to back it off a little bit. And last few breaths, feel free to soften all the way down over left leg and round in a bit. Get longer on a fresh breath. Out through the crown, open through the heart. Exhale, squeeze the belly to the back. And inhale, rise up. Let's change sides. Left foot is helping to move the right inner thigh a little earthward. And the left leg, just like our second warrior, does a little external rotation. Coming up and folding out from the hinge in the hips. Hold on to what's possible. Use a strap if you need it. And go ahead, keep pulling right thigh straight back. Lengthening from the left inner thigh all the way out to the left inner knee. Folding in deep. Continue to work for a little length and opening in the chest. Squeezing belly to the back. Last few breaths, flop in. Let go. Good. Open it up. Belly to back. Inhale, rising up. So you can choose here whether you want to bring the soles of the feet together, kind of diamond style. Give yourself a nice tall spine, just pulling on the shins or the big toes, whatever is easier to reach. Pulling those shoulder heads back down and in. So you can feel that pop of the chest, inhaling, and inner thighs soften every time we breathe in deep. Widening out. Find a little hinge, give it a forward bend. Chin in, back of the neck long. Breathe. breathe up the back from the kidneys to the top chest and down through the front. You might put a block on your feet. Might be able to round all the way in and drop your head to your feet for a couple breaths. Soften, relax. Nice big inhale for length and exhaling. Use your belly. You can take the hands to the outsides of the knees, bring them together. Slide the legs out for one last forward bend, Paschimottanasana. Or if you would prefer, you could just turn it around and bring your legs up the wall. So you can finish in Viparita Karani. If you've got that blanket or that bolster, you can use it here. Hips up the wall. If you are taking Paschimottanasana, you can move from Paschimottanasana to Shavasana when you're ready. Otherwise, legs up the wall will be our Shavasana for today. And the option is to take a bolster, a blanket, and slide it under the back of the pelvis. Walk the shoulders in maybe a hair so your sitting bones do touch the wall. And that'll give you a little support for the low back. And you have a little mini back bend in the chest. Do soften the front ribs in. Let the shoulder heads press heavy into the earth here with your legs up the wall. Back of the pelvis also gets a really nice grounding. So with legs up the wall, I like a little cactus shape through the arms. With your legs up the wall as you're resting in your Shavasana, Savasana, we want to kind of feel like we are a glacier maybe, kind of melting from the toes down, cascading down, melting down, slow melt. So finishing up, giving it a last few breaths. And this is one of those places where you might want to just linger for forever. do have support under your hips, you're going to want to remove that first by bringing the feet flat to the wall and lifting the hips and then coming back down again. Let the hips root all the way to the earth and stretch the legs back up the wall. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide apart. Come back to that Baddha Konasana shape here on the wall. Same as on the earth, we can take the hands to the outsides of the legs to help bring knees together. Roll off to the side. Press yourself gently up to sit. So take a moment here to root the hips back down into the earth, reach the crown straight back up to the sky. Spine, a long, strong bridge between heaven and earth. Feeling into any changes in the body-mind. Let's bring hands to heart center. Just take a moment to nod the chin towards the chest, bowing into the presence and the wisdom that resides within the heart, to the one breath and one life that moves through us all. Let's take a moment of gratitude. Let's grateful for all of the many blessings in our life. And let's ask that all the blessings that we receive help to benefit all beings everywhere. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for your practice. Have a beautiful Sunday, and I'll see you back here on Wednesday. Take care.